Both.
Hello and welcome to the World's Toughest Row Atlantic 2023. We have our 27th arrival for you right now. Solo Nick Hollis here coming into the finish line. 7-2-1 challenge. Moments away from the finish line. And it has been a seriously tough 48 hours for Nick. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you for joining us live here in Antigua, Indiana, for the arrival of 721 Challenge.
Let's go!
Let us know where you're watching from. Send in your messages of support. Let us know how you know Nick. And also if you're supporting any of the other teams in this year's challenge, let us know who you're supporting. Nick has been rowing 3,000 miles across the Atlantic, all the way from the Canaries to the Caribbean, and he hasn't slept for 48 hours. Flat, calm water out there. It's been a complete slog.
Well done, Nick!
He has been rowing in that
Yes! Well done, Nick! Yeah!
We can hear Ian from the fort. It's so still out here. We can hear Ian clearly from the fort. How are you feeling, Nick?
Sorry?
How are you feeling?
After that little sprint finish, quite beat actually. Yeah, my goodness.
I don't know if you heard that. After that little half sprint finish, quite beat, he
I'm just
said.
working it out. I think the last 3 days I've been rowing for about 60 hours. So, yeah,
Flying
I
through.
think, and I've had about 2 hours sleep. So, hey! Yeah, it's been quite extraordinary.
Welcome to Antigua.
Oh, this is it.
This is,
Amazing.
you'll see it in the daytime. It's beautiful.
Oh my goodness. So good to be here.
You did it!
What an experience, the whole row. I mean, just incredible. Yeah, I mean, really, really incredible.
Nick, did you get your bucket to avoid
As we say, Nick has been rowing 50 days. He's
Yeah,
6
whenever you're
out
ready,
of the 11 solos that we have.
Woo!
Nick Hollis, world explorer, adventurer, international mountaineer, and ultra endurance athlete, has just completed the World's Toughest Row Atlantic 2023.
Go on!
Thank you. You can add complete idiot to that as well. Wow. Standing up now, that's a novel idea.
That's a novel idea.
Okay, so
And this was all part of his goal to complete 10 incredible challenges. 721 stands for 7 summits, 2 poles, and 1 ocean. Despite the challenges he faced, Nick said that being on the Atlantic Ocean has been one of the most extraordinary experiences of his
One is a
life.
screw tab, one you have to screw open, and the other one is just to pull off.
Yeah, bro.
So the 721 challenge, like I say, involves climbing 7 summits, the highest mountain on each of the 7 continents, including Everest, skiing to both poles, solo, full distance expedition to the North Pole, followed by the South Pole, and finally rowing the Atlantic Ocean. Well, he's done that, and you've still got the South Pole to do.
No, just the North.
The North Pole,
Just the North, which is next month.
which is next month.
Go, Nick!
Hopefully, after that, it's all done. I
Blimey.
really hope so.
And how long is that going to take at the North Pole?
The North Pole, not too long, and the reason for that, the whole project's about climate change. And the problem with the North Pole is it's raining ice. You know, it's just shrinking at an extraordinary rate. So, 20 years ago, I could have made a trip right from Canada or from Russia, but now I reckon it'll be 2 weeks. That's as far as I can go.
Oh, wow.
The thinking is, in 5 years' time, no one will ever ski to the North Pole again. I mean, that's the severity of climate change.
And that's the reason he's rowing. I'll give you more information on his charity later.
Whenever you're ready, Nick.
Right.
Yeah, whenever you're ready. Your
You want me
moment.
to hold like so?
Yeah, up to you.
Nick, make sure you don't hold the metal part. Only the.
Only plastic?
There we go. Yeah.
Plastic,
Yeah.
well,
There we go.
right, one at a time.
Oh,
Let's go, Nick! Let's go!
Hollis of the 721 Challenge has arrived after 50 days of rowing the Atlantic Ocean. As he anticipated, it was an intense and hard start to the race for Nick. As solos, you have no one else to take over a shift and to give you the opportunity to rest. And the race started with some serious weather. They got thrown into the deep end with up to 25 knot strong winds just off the coast of La Gomera. What an intro to the race. And Nick came close to capsizing a number of times within the first 4 days of big confused conditions, and a massive container ship came within 1 nautical mile of him. That's like 300 meters of boat compared to his little 8-meter boat that you see right here. Having got through the first week, he noted it was as hard, if not harder, than anything he had done. Problems with his auto steering meant that early on during the big conditions, he would resort to manual hand or foot steering to give the auto helm a break. Then after many auto helm failures, 2/3 of the way across, he was down to his third and final auto tour, or more to the point, a resourcefully recycled version of all three. And then that burnt out. And since then, he's rowed 700 nautical miles manually foot steering. Wow.
I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
Oh, no, Nick, don't say that.
I think he's talking about the manually foot steering.
Ah,
Yeah, just the foot steering. The row he says he would definitely recommend. Just after Christmas, he discovered that his dagger board had broken, and he very resourcefully fabricated a fix by using a spare, smaller rudder, which did the trick until his actual rudder then broke, at which point he switched the broken rudder for the rudder that he used as the dagger board, and hey presto, his boat held steady once again. End of December, a dolphin popped up to say hello, and while on power anchor during the post-Christmas low-pressure system, a whale actually lifted his boat a foot out of the water. By mid-January, he said, rowing the ocean has been an incredible experience. The real deal, it's got everything. Harder than he thought it would be. But that said, he was absolutely loving it, acknowledging how special it is. So we are going to go along ahead of Nick into Nelson's dockyard. Nick is then going to row himself in for the last little stretch. And we're going to see him step onto land for the first time in 50 days and have a little chat with him about his experience. So don't go anywhere. We'll have the holding screen waiting. Come back and join us very soon for that moment of arrival. Hello, welcome back to the World's Toughest Row Atlantic 2023 for the arrival of Nick Hollis. The 721 Challenge is coming into the dockyard. Thank you so much for joining us. He's been rowing for 50 days, all the way from the Canaries to here in the Caribbean. What an achievement. His 721 challenge consisted of 7 peaks, climbing the highest mountain on every continent, which he's already done, which ended with Mount Everest in 2019. He's also skied the South Pole, and he's got the North Pole yet to do. And then, of course, this one ocean.
Thank you so much.
Once he's completed both of the poles, he will be the 18th person to have done so.
go!
Completed all 7 summits and both poles. Considered the Explorers Grand Slam. His last pole journey will be next month.
How's it go? Yeah, how's it go? This way.
Representing the United Kingdom, once again, a big applause for Nick. Let's go! So, Nick, we do have a crowd gathered here for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, would we like to see Nick step on land? Welcome to our season. Meeting, well, on to the podium. It might be moving.
It's moving.
Might be moving. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we just witnessed here tonight was the arrival of the Hollis 721 Challenge. We will hear more about that name in a bit. You left Nagamera, question of December last year. You are now here, safe and sound, after 50 days, 20 hours, we have a certificate of achievement handed over by fellow ocean rower, Kevinia, and the I Wrote the Atlantic t-shirt. A big applause to Nick Hollis. If you got a t-shirt for all your challenges, then you would have quite a few saying, I climbed this mountain, I climbed this mountain. 721 challenge is now 711 because you have one to go, and that is the North Pole, and you are heading up to the North Pole in March. Incredible, you have done the 7 summits, South Pole, and now the Atlantic Ocean in 50 days, 20 hours, and 49 minutes. And what a journey, what a journey. How has it been? Tell us a little bit about it. Also, you know, the first week or 10 days of the race was quite challenging weather-wise.
Yeah, it's just been extraordinary. I mean, blow me away. What an experience. It's got it all. It's got it all. The first week was insane. I mean, the intensity was just incredible. I think from day 2 or day 3 onwards, I was just thinking, what is going on? It was like being on this roller coaster, but you couldn't get off it. You just could not get off it. Yeah, there were so many hairy moments in that period. After that, I had a little accident with a low pressure system and lost a load of time, break the dagger board. So it's been a bit of a battle since then. Yeah, it's just been a real battle coming back in. So, so pleased. In terms of highlights, it was being picked up by a whale. I mean, cracking, literally, a whale came underneath, picked up probably about 1/3 of a meter. Just the most extraordinary experience. And then also I had a pod of whales come to the boat. But yeah, I mean, it's just hard to put into words, you know, the whole journey, the whole adventure. But also you guys, I mean, at World's Toughest Row, I have to say, you know, being a professional in this game, I think you guys are absolutely first class. I mean, genuinely, from start to finish. I mean, I've yet to come across an act as class as you. So thank you genuinely from the bottom of my heart. You know, this is an experience.
Thank you. And you mentioned a broken dagger board, also some rudder breakage, and you did your own dagger board. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, the boat's a wreck. What isn't broken on that boat? I snapped an oar, snapped my dagger board, my rudder broke, the order helm fixing came out. I burned through all my order helms. So the last 700 meters I've been steering with my foot, which has meant I haven't really had much sleep in the last, crikey, I don't know, 2 weeks or something. The sleep deprivation has been just something else. Yeah, I mean, it got to the point with me, if, you know, what could go wrong, if it was going to go wrong, it would go wrong for me. So yeah, there's been a lot of problem solving, a lot of figuring it out as I go along. But yeah, I mean, it adds to the challenge, right? It just adds to it all.
Nailed it! As I mentioned, you have done the seven summits. You have done the South Pole. Race is called World's Toughest Row. How do you rate that challenge within in all the other crazy things you have done?
Yeah, and it's really interesting. Just before I left, Ian said, you know, when you come back in, I'd love to talk to you about, you know, this experience and how does it compare. It's really hard to say one thing's harder than the other, you know, whether it's the weather, what state you're in. But I've yet to do anything in my life that has so many component parts, that has so much complexity, that is so fast moving, is so dynamic. You're in a boat that goes, what, 3 knots or 16 in my case when you're surfing down those monster waves, but for most of the time you're going 2 or 3 knots. But what's going on around you is just extraordinarily fast. So yeah, I mean, there's just, you're on your toes from the minute you start to the minute you come off it. And in this case, I'm struggling to stand on my toes because everything's a bit wobbly. But yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, I've yet said in my experience to come across anything that is so comprehensive, that just throws the stuff it's throwing at you. There's so much uncontrollable to contend with when you're out there. No matter how prepared you are, there will be something that will trip you up. There will be something that will, that will catch you out, and you just have to deal with it there and then. So yeah, it's hard to put into words, this experience. It really is.
But you just did, Nick, and you basically described the world's toughest row, and you did it all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, 3,000 miles in 50 days, 20 hours, and 49 minutes. Now it's time for a little bit of rest, but not a lot, because you're going to the North Pole next month. But let's give it up for Nick Hollis' 721 challenge. That's now 711, 50 days, 20 hours, and 49 minutes. As I mentioned, hip, 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 hip. Well done, Nick. We do a live interview on YouTube with Charlotte here, and then there's a fresh meal and drinks for you, and meet some of your fellow ocean rowers still here on the island. Well done.
Hey, Charlotte.
So good to see you.
Likewise.
Well done for that rowing. That was quite spectacular. You said you were really knackered coming in there. When was the last time you slept?
So, in terms of sleep, I had 1 hour. It's hard to put in date. The night before last, and I think I had about 90 minutes, 24 hours prior to that. And other than that, I've been rowing. So yeah, I mean everything people were saying, you rowed 2 hours on, 2 hours off. Yeah, I mean I think I've been rowing over 40 hours and 46. So yeah, pretty beat when I got in, that was for sure.
How do you do it? How do you keep going?
I didn't know it was possible, if I'm honest with you, to go this long with so little sleep. I really did not know it was possible. I've never experienced that before. Somehow you do, and normally it's like there'll be an event or something that triggers you and you get another adrenaline surge, you've got to deal with it and you just wake up. But yeah, I'm asking myself that question. I was really thinking, how can I still be going? How am I still, compass mentis and able to row? But somehow you have to, right? You just have to when you're out there.
Exactly. So. And then you've done the South Pole solo, you're doing the North Pole solo, and this solo. Tell us about the levels of solitude that you face. Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. I mean, on this one, I didn't find the solitude a big issue. Because you've got Ian, who's just an extraordinary guy. You've got Fraser, the team, World's Toughest Row team. I had the ground crew who I was in contact with. So I actually, and because it's such a vibrant environment with nature around and what have you, I actually felt quite connected. I didn't feel that much isolation on this. The South Pole was an entirely different matter. I mean, it's a hostile environment where humans should not be. You should not be out in that environment. I think I made 1 sat phone call per week, something like that. It was just not practical to do more than that. And that was real solitude, where you're absolutely living in your own head. You just got yourself for company. And I found that mentally very, very difficult. But this event, it was that contact, that connection I thought was really special. And the community of the rowers, a little bit later on the journey, some of the rowers started WhatsApping each other, and that was just super cool. I spoke to a couple on the sat phone, and just the first thing was, this is nuts. How was the first week for you? It was insane. So long-winded answer is saying
that's okay. And then your charity, the World Land Trust, international conservation charity, you say you're doing this for climate change, to make as much noise about climate change as possible. What was your experience out on the Atlantic in terms of that?
Do you know, so here's the story. Early on in the event, I dropped a piece of litter and in the ocean. Now, normally, and it didn't bother me at all, because wherever I go, I have
a policy of enhancing any area. So if we go into mountains individually or as a team, we'll try and make sure we remove more rubbish than anywhere else. And I just thought, this place is going to be loaded with plastics and rubbish. Don't worry, I'll be more than even with the ocean gods by the time I came in. I did not find one single piece of litter in that 3,000-mile journey. I could not. I'm not even with the gods. I'll probably get a time penalty for dropping litter as well, but it's okay. And you know what? That gave me a lot of optimism, because I think with the whole world of climate change, there's a lot of negativity, a lot of pessimism. It's a bit like the adverts on the cigarette packet, where I think what we need actually is a bit of optimism as well. There are good things happening. There are great projects. And if you take World Land Trust, they're a case in point. They've got some amazing projects around the world. They're making real difference, tangible difference, and protecting endangered rainforest for generations to come. And the other thing with climate change is one of, if not the most important thing that we can do in the fight against climate change is protect our forests. It just makes such an impact. So
Thank you for making that point. So you've got your family, friends, people back home watching. What would you like to say to them?
Sorry, I've done it again, haven't I? I think I caused them quite a lot of concern with what I do for a living. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, but it was super tough, super tough. And thanks so much for all the amazing messages and the support. It came through to me. And when you're having a low morale day, because you do have low morale days out there, no question about it, they make all the difference. So yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for all the donations as well to World Land Trust. That just means the world, and that does make a tangible difference. So yeah.
Well done, Nick. Welcome to Antigua. Fellow fleet members.
Sorry?
We passed you.
Which night was that?
It was 27.7.
Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. 721 Challenge, Nick Hollis is in. That is our 27th team. We've still got 10 to go. And we're not going to see the other team for a few days, actually. Maybe around 7th of April, that's going to change, as it usually does. Intrepid 232 are the next team to come in. So keep an eye on our social media. We will update you as to the time that they come in. It's still to be confirmed. It's still too far away for us to actually know. Keep an eye on the Widely Races tracker. If you haven't downloaded it, go to the App Store or Play Store, download it, and have a look at the last few dots coming across the Atlantic. And also make sure you subscribe to YouTube so that you don't miss the next time that we go live. Well Stuff is Row on YouTube. Subscribe and set your notifications for all. We look forward to seeing you in a few days. Take care until then.